Despite its name, there are no covert operations at the National Intelligence Council. It is a sober, cautious U.S. government agency more akin to a university faculty club or a think tank than the spy agency its name suggests. The Council issues reports, some of which are top secret, that integrate information from other intelligence agencies to help government officials and other policymakers take a long view of coming problems. So it was odd that this conservative organization would issue a top secret and then partially declassified report with the provocative conclusion that the world is entering into a prolonged water crisis. The first parts of the crisis are already being felt. It is no longer a surprise to hear of a drought here, an overpumped aquifer there, or some social unrest in a country no one thinks about too often. But if the intelligence report is correct, the problem will soon begin to accelerate. It is less a matter of if than when. In less than a decade, the report predicts, countries important to the U.S. and to global security will be at risk of state failure. The only questions in the report are how severe the disruptions will be and how quickly they will be felt. Water shortages may not occur everywhere, but hardly anyone will remain unaffected for long. 20% of the world population, about 1.5 billion people, will be the first victims of this world water crisis, and already 600 million of them have begun to experience water shortages. Ultimately, 60% of Earth's land surface will be transformed. To begin with, depleted water supplies will pose a risk to both U.S. and global food markets, which will result in higher food prices around the world. Because extracting and generating energy is so water-intensive, the intelligence report predicts, water problems will hinder its production. This has already begun to happen in Brazil, South America's economic engine. The report continues, the ability of key countries to produce food and generate energy will transform the world as we know it, posing a risk to global food markets and hobbling economic growth. As less energy is available, economic growth will slow. Higher food prices, along with slower economic growth, are a proven formula for social unrest. The water crisis isn't a developing world problem reserved for international aid organizations operating in faraway locales. Major trading partners of the U.S. and world economic powers like China and India are already experiencing water shortages that could soon have a major impact on their economies and political stability. And the water future in the United States, most immediately in the western states, is also at a tipping point. Water scarcities are morphing into full-blown water crises that, directly or indirectly, will affect nearly everyone in the U.S., whether and where they live, how much they have to pay for food, or how they earn their livelihood. The San Joaquin Valley in California is the epicenter of high-end agriculture, with more grapes, oranges, peaches, vegetables, almonds, and pistachios produced there than anywhere else in the U.S. But already parts of the valley are running out of water, and the valley as a whole is facing growing shortages. The bounteous supply of California produce cannot be assured. Already prices for these products have risen, and water restrictions of increasing severity have been imposed on the once limitless California lifestyle. California is not the only state in immediate danger. Since the end of World War II, the massive natural underground reservoir called the High Plains Aquifer has been a key driver in agriculture in 8 Great Plains states. Basic crops grown there like wheat, corn, soy, and barley provide fodder for America's cows and chickens and grains for food production. These crops are also a major U.S. export industry. The aquifer that provides water for these crops has been so severely and consistently overdrawn that parts of it have already gone dry. Although the water in the High Plains Aquifer is a renewable resource, it took thousands of years of rain and snow to fill a large part of what has been depleted just since the 1950s, when the overpumping began. Worse, rather than slowing the depletion, in just the first years of this century, the High Plains Aquifer was further reduced by an amount equal to about a third of all the water withdrawals made in the 20th century. The financial well-being and quality of life of millions of Americans will be affected, and not just of those farmers in Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, and the other states where the loss of water is accelerating.